Breaking right now, President Trump cleaning house tonight after being acquitted this week on both articles of impeachment. The president appears to have decided to let go several of the people involved who worked for the White House, including Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman. The Democrats' star witness was escorted off White House grounds today. His twin brother, who worked at the National Security Council as well, also out of a job tonight. And just moments ago, word that U.S. Ambassador Gordon Sondland revealed that he has been recalled from his post as ambassador to the EU. Remember his role in all of this.
I know that members of this committee frequently frame these complicated issues in the form of a simple question: was there a quid pro quo? As I testified previously, with regard to the requested White House call and the White House meeting, the answer is yes.
Joining me now is Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz, a member of the House Judiciary Committee. Congressman, thank you for being here. Good to have you here tonight.
Thanks for having me.
I mean, that was definitely one of the biggest moments during the House testimony when Gordon Sondland said that, yes, he saw the exchange for a meeting and an investigation as a quid pro quo. Tonight, he is out of a job. Your thoughts?
Well, he saw it that way. Remember, that was largely a presumption. But impeachment investigations undoubtedly create second and third order effects. Of course, we all know a lot more about Hunter Biden than we would have if Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff had not started this investigation. We also know a lot more about Gordon Sondland, and we learned a lot more about Colonel Vindman. For example, Tim Morrison, who was a senior official to Lieutenant Colonel Vindman at the NSC, said that Vindman frequently used poor judgment and that he often couldn't trust the conclusions that he came to. That information was ripened to a higher degree because of the impeachment. And I think if you looked at Gordon Sondland, no one really viewed him as central to the delivery of U.S. policy. I think we'll still be able to get by in the delivery of United States foreign policy absent Gordon Sondland. He was viewed as an intermeddler, and you often heard people talk about how the Gordon problem would emerge as he was outside of the normal work of an EU ambassador. So the president has the authority to remove these folks if he chooses to.
But the reason that they said that, Congressman, was because they were surprised that he was working on Ukraine policy, because he was the ambassador to the EU. So the people who were assigned to the Ukraine issue wanted to know why Gordon Sondland was involved in it at all. And it turned out, you know, that he was working with Rick Perry and Rudy Giuliani. So that was why they said, isn't that why they referred to the Gordon problem?
Well, right. But I mean, I think that there was continued lack of confidence in his diplomatic work throughout the depositions and hearings, and whether that meant exceeding the scope of his authority or whether it meant just sort of the bungling of assignments. I don't think he came out of the impeachment looking like some great diplomat. So I don't think it's a surprise to see the president choose to make a change there, and also with Lieutenant Colonel Vindman.
I mean, Lieutenant Colonel Vindman's lawyer says that he is saddened to not be able to serve the country anymore. Here's a quick soundbite of his testimony to remind everybody.
It is improper for the President of the United States to demand a foreign government investigate a U.S. citizen and a political opponent. Frankly, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It was probably an element of shock that maybe in certain regards my worst fear of how our Ukraine policy could play out.
You know, a lot of people looked at that. I mean, obviously, people took it different ways, but as that they had some pretty deep policy differences in terms of the way that things should be carried out in Ukraine. And although Vindman has expressed his sadness at being pushed out of his position tonight, you wonder why he would want to work for the president if he had such deep disagreements with him and, you know, thought the way he was handling it was wrong.
Many of the eruptions that gave rise to this impeachment were rooted in policy disagreement, a different approach, a different style, at times even a different outcome for various elements of the Ukraine policy. And I can't imagine we would, outside of the world of impeachment, have the opportunity to really, I think, kind of tease at those divisions more than in this impeachment. And so in this world, I think we were able to see disagreement, perhaps some discord between Lieutenant Colonel Vindman and others at the NSC who held a different view. And now we're going to move forward. If you look also at what Mr. O'Brien has done at the NSC, there have been a lot of changes there. It very well may have been the case that Vindman could have been out before impeachment, but obviously during impeachment, you don't want to make a change like that to make it look like retribution. And now with a lot of changes at the NSC, I think we'll have a better crew.
It is interesting because Robert O'Brien, the new head of the NSC, the National Security Advisor to the President, had said days ago that he wanted to thin the ranks of the NSC dramatically. And there had long been a question about whether or not everybody who was there, some of the holdovers, were supportive of the policy of the White House, correct?
There have been a lot of concerns that the NSC may have emanated other leaks. And, I mean, that's obviously never something you always are able to track down and fully prove and evidence. But I think that you want a president and a national security advisor that have full confidence in the NSC. If freshening up that team going into this new post-impeachment era is helpful to the country, then I'm all for it. I will say the delivery of U.S. foreign policy is going pretty well. I'm so proud of the president for taking out the al-Qaeda leader in Yemen. That group in Yemen had claimed responsibility for killing my constituents in Pensacola. So when you look at the foreign policy outcomes, it sure is a great thing.
All right. Congressman Matt Gaetz, thank you. Good to have you here tonight.